Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownal Select Board meeting, regular meeting, June 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Let's call the meeting to order. Board member roll call.
Angie Rowling,
Carl Strohmeyer.
Mike Gardner.
Jamie Percy. William Cottrell.
Everyone rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. I need to add, under warrants, I need to add an AP for land purchase. The agenda, public comment, approval of minutes, warrants, correspondence, large gathering permit, large format scanner and AED purchase discussion and possible action. Part-time, temporary and seasonal employee raise discussion and possible action. CAT TV contract discussion and possible action. Bennington County Sheriff's Department contract discussion and possible action. Town Forest General Vision. Borak appraisal, parking lot and road building discussion and possible action. Animal Control Officer open position discussion and future plan and possible action. Public comment and adjourn.
so moved with the change.
Second it.
Any more discussion? And obviously that'll be added at the end of warrant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any public comment, Hannah? Approval of minutes, June 13th, 2024.
So moved.
Second,
Any corrections, additions, questions? All in favor? Warrants, accounts payable. June 21st, $28,058.06.
so moved.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable, June 28th, $29,814.29.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable, 627, land purchase, which is the right of way, for the town forest land, $125,000.
So moved.
Second it.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, June 21st, $11,937.31.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, June 28th, $12,103.53.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence letter from Joyce on the Pownal Historical Society seeking permission to use the Strobridge Park for the second annual Witches Walk.
So moved.
Second it.
Do we want to read that letter?
It's just really straightforward to just, they're starting to work on the second annual Witches Walk and they're asking permission to use the Strobridge Park.
Saturday, September 21st, yeah, at 1 p.m. I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Large gathering permit, application for Furlong Road.
All had a chance to look at that.
Look at that.
Yep,
The same thing that they did last year. Was it the same weekend, Jamie? Pretty close, right?
7/13, 7/14.
Yeah, right around the same time.
Yeah, it's just only on our property, it's not the one that went all through town and all that, so.
Just on your
It's
property.
just our property.
Okay.
We're hoping to be over 250, so that's why we applied for.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Any questions, comments on that? Do I have a motion for that, please?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set, Jamie.
How's that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Good luck.
That's all. Thank you.
Large format scanner and AED purchase discussion and possible action.
So I sent the pricing on the scanner to all of you. If I'm multiple pricing, they are expensive. But leasing it doesn't really seem to make sense because I don't feel like we use it enough to lease a machine. And I can find it reasonably priced around 2,000. If you'll approve that purchase, we do have enough money in the information technology budget to cover it this fiscal year. Before the first.
So does everybody understand what that's for?
Yep.
I mean, we're
And
getting
just so
that right?
so the
Why?
public knows it's to digitize our maps. That would be survey
Right.
maps,
Any
of our maps that
large-
come in to be recorded.
Any large format documents that we have, we can scan in now. We will be able to.
And then we'll give public access on our website.
So they'll be able to go in and look themselves.
Yeah. And we used to have them digitized, but they were only on a thumb drive and that's been misplaced, I guess. So this time it'll be on our server, on our hard drive, so that we won't lose them again.
Plus there'll be a backup.
Yep.
Okay.
What's your pleasure?
I'll make the motion that we purchase the scanner.
Are you gonna go with the one that Becky's?
Oh, that's the AD.
Oh, that's AD,
Sorry,
sorry.
scanner one first.
Scanner one first, sorry. Wrong picture.
Second it.
Any more questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now let's talk about the AED purchase.
So we had first aid CPR today with Pownal Rescue. Becky Levine came down and did the class. And we were talking about the necessity for not only an AED here in the office, but at our other departments as well, because it really walks you through what you need to do. I was sitting with Darcy and she was saying how essential that seems like it would be to have for each department. So Becky did price this one out on us for us. She's gonna get us hopefully better pricing, possibly through her vendor. But I have the money in the IT budget to purchase 4 of them and would like you to approve that tonight.
So is that price per?
That's per AED. They are very expensive.
There are,
Okay.
But this would give us one at the transfer station where there's public all the time.
Right, exactly.
The wastewater, there's 3 of them that work there. Sometimes there's public there. Here, there's public here all the time. And at the highway department, they have numerous staff, but also come into contact with a lot of public.
And I wouldn't want to buy one here and have somebody have a heart attack
And
at the transfer station or down at Darcy's and go, we bought one,
right.
but we could have had them so that we bought it for all of them.
And there's really not a lot of them in town. Becky was saying like the fire department have them and the rescue squad and the school have them, but that's like it.
Yep.
So.
the stewards,
The other more and
stewards have them?
I doubt it.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think they do.
I think it makes total sense because just not only for the general public, for our employees, if we save one of our employees' lives, no matter where it is here, or one of the outlying buildings that we have, it was money well spent, so.
And we're all certified to use it now.
Now we are
So.
all certified.
Yeah,
We did a group training today. That went really well too.
good.
Good.
So everybody, all town employees went through the training?
Mhm.
Awesome.
First aid and CPR.
Nice. I make a motion that we buy 4.
I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Part-time, temporary and seasonal employee raise discussion and possible action.
So all of these positions sort of have different rates of pay. I'm not gonna speak to them specific to name. I'm gonna speak to them specific to position. But just kind of give you the overview. The highway seasonal worker is making 15.75. Assistant town clerk is at 15.60. Our assessor clerk is at 20. At the transfer station, our supervisor is at 20.21 and his helper is at 15.84. And then our part-time helper at the wastewater is at 19.80. So it was requested by Joel that we give his seasonal worker an increase, but we also discussed during budgeting, when you guys made the decision to cover full-time employees' insurance, that part-time employees weren't getting a benefit or a raise, so maybe giving them some incentive this year also. So wondering what everybody thinks.
What's your position? So can you give me that breakdown again, Tara? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I know,
So
so
look at it, it's a little, I think some of these should come up and maybe some stay the same.
Well, that's what-
that's why I was asking why there's such a range.
I don't know. I think it's because we've given them like a percentage increase.
Right.
At different times, and then like when assessor clerk was hired, for example, you gave her just an hourly rate at that. So it wasn't in comparison to others at that time, maybe, I'm not sure,
And then
but
I
here's,
think also like wastewater, they have to have licensing that like.
yeah,
Right.
that changes theirs.
We did something for our wastewater.
Right.
Didn't we do something for them
Darcy
and
got that approved in her budget.
with Jeff?
I can,
With Jeff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that insurance or was it a
it's not
raise?
insurance.
No.
She asked for a raise.
All right, that's what I thought.
Yes.
I can't remember what it was though.
It was pretty,
Got
It was
approved.
substantial.
It was. Okay, good, because that one definitely needs to come up. Do you want the breakdown? I'll give it to you again.
yeah, please, sorry.
So highway seasonal, 1575,
Yeah, this is what they are now.
yes.
Yep. Okay.
Assistant town clerk, 1560.
Yep.
Assessor clerk, 20. Transfer station supervisor, 2021. Transfer station helper, 1584. And I'm gonna not do Jet because I had forgotten Darcy got that approved separately.
Yeah, we did find her budget.
Yeah, so I remember now that you said that, so.
That's why I just wanted. Of this in front. How
And
do you want to do this one? Do it one at a time?
so Joel has requested $1 for his highway seasonal. He
Mhm.
says that he has it in his budget to cover it. So I think we can start with that one if you want.
Yeah, so our part-time road crew would go from 1575 to 1675.
Do you want to
What's
say,
your pleasure?
I have a huge problem.
do you want to say? The problem is?
No, the problem is anybody can walk into any fast food market and make more
Yeah, or go to Home Depot when they got it plastered right there on the,
for at least $17, $18. And this is. As long as we can afford it in the budget, I mean,
So we planned a big increase for an employee that isn't going to get it now, so we do have wiggle room in the budget.
like how much would go on?
13,000.
But we'll need that for next.
yeah,
Oh, but this all starts, and this all starts Monday.
Right.
It starts Monday.
Right.
So. Just so I'm gonna jump on board with the ends. We'll start out with the road crew. We'll start out with Paul. Paul's running, he can run any piece of equipment that we have, right? Doesn't matter if it's the little excavator, the big excavator, the mower, the loader, whatever we have.
Right.
And we're paying him 1575 an hour.
Which is crazy.
And in Joel's letter here, which we're not sure of, he may or may not have a CDL. That's kind of irrelevant. We're paying a equipment operator. And I don't know how many of you guys have ever watched him run the mower, which is what I've seen him in most of the time. But if that was in my mower and I was a contractor, I would want him in my mower.
mhm.
Okay, he's that careful. I would have no problem going and buying a brand new mower and tractor and saying, here, go mow. So.
You're getting a good deal, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a steal going on here, right? And we should all have handcuffs on.
I just asked you what regular road crew member
I
makes.
think it's kind of 79.
It's definitely at least that,
I know it's
Yeah.
41.
yeah.
We want to change.
I mean, I would be comfortable, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I would feel comfortable at 17,
So,
if not even a little bit more.
so a 10% raise. A 10% raise to Paul is 17.33 an hour. Based off 15.75.
Mhm.
Personally, I think that's where we go with that. This is at least that. That's my opinion.
We also, and even just thinking about the future, to get somebody to take that position too,
Yeah,
you have to think about, Paul might be happy with what he's at now, but, to fill that position in the future too.
yeah, what if he's not even doing next year? Yeah, what if he says, I want to go to Aruba all summer?
Yeah. I got my raise last year.
I can go anywhere now. Look at the money I'm making now, so, yeah, for that 5 months, So let me just for. Cause Joel gave us, it's about $800 for 5 months.
Yeah, and I forgot we were talking about highway, so that's separate than the general, but we can
Yeah, we could figure out, right?
figure it out. We'll have to trim somewhere else.
So Joel's proposing a 10% raise is $1.58 an hour.
Mhm.
All right. So based on round numbers, Joel's saying it's $800 for 5 months. Based on round numbers, I'm gonna go with it's about $12.50 for the 5 months versus 800, right? It's a little over half. So that would be. That's what the extra cost would be for Paul at this point. Based on numbers. Don't hold me to it, but pretty close to that. Probably $1,250, $1,300 for 5 months versus what he's getting now.
I'm definitely okay with it.
I'll entertain a motion for a 10% raise for the highway department, part-time help.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I think it should be flat 16 personally. I mean, if he's operating all that equipment and proficient with it.
Wait, 10% raise is,
10% raise gives him the $17.33.
that's slow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought you meant
No,
it's $116.
no. 10% raise puts him $17.33 now.
Okay,
I'm thinking Jamie.
yeah.
What page are you
I was
on?
rounding it up.
Yeah.
Number.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor of a 10% raise, bringing him to you $17.33 an hour?
Aye.
okay. Assistant town clerk, think not a regular position, and we did increase that part-time line last year when we did increases. So I don't know if you want
They
to.
taking any classes?
We can always come back and revisit on this anyways. But, and we probably should hear from the department heads.
And the budget for assistant town clerk was decreased this year compared to last year. It's a little bit less. So to increase the pay for assistant town clerk might kind of mess with that a little bit. I don't know. But we could ask Julie and revisit it, or it's up to you guys.
Well, I'd like to hear from the department head on that, I guess.
Because Joel's the one that started the discussion for Paul.
Mhm.
And I think it's only right for the other department heads at least to have a heads up before we decide to change something.
Have some info.
Yes.
Has anybody else reached out?
No, but we did talk about doing something for employees that don't get insurance.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
also don't get the exemption money for not taking insurance because they're part-time.
Right.
Are you doing your math over there, Mr. Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think assessor clerks at a pretty good rate of pay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that.
Assistant town clerk, that was an increase from a pretty low rate when we increased it. And then I would just ask you guys to look at the transfer station employees. And if you think they're good, then we'll move on.
When's the last time we had a raise?
Last year.
Last year.
What do we have, what do we have for our,
Yeah, they got like
the transfer station supervisor?
Mhm.
Does Tom take health insurance? Who doesn't?
No, they are not eligible.
Neither one of them.
They're not eligible, that's what I thought.
That's why we're talking about a raise, because they didn't get that benefit.
Um. I. If we went to a 5%. 5% increase at the transfer station, put him at 22. If we want a 5% raise there.
It'd be $21.22.
Yeah. And if we want 5% for his assistant is 1663. If we went to a 10% at the for the supervisor, it's $22 and 22 cents. $10%, no. If we went to
1730.
1740, 1742 for the helper, I'm comfortable with 5%.
5%.
Transfer station. What's the board's feeling?
So what was the 5% for the helper? I'm sorry.
1663.
Thank you.
And it was 21, 20.
21, 22?
Yep, 21, 22 for Tom.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
What's your pleasure?
I'll make the motion.
Or which one, 5% or 10%?
5. That's what we were talking, right?
Yep,
Well, he gave us both numbers.
but you're talking the 5% is the numbers we just came out with, 21, 22.
Yeah.
And 16,
1660.
62.
Yep, yep.
Second.
It's a 5% increase to the transfer station supervisor and helper. That's what the motion is. All right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Wilson, thank you very much.
Okay. Moving right now. Cat TV. You get into, have a chance to read that.
The difference between this year's contract or proposed contract and last year's is that last year we were billed for 24 meetings at 2 hours each. This year, they're suggesting that we be billed 50 per hour for actual meeting length. So it just makes it a little tricky to budget for. I mean, I don't think that we will go over the 2 hours, but so it could end up being similar, but if we go over, it might be a little higher, like if we go over a 2 hour meeting. I also really don't like the closed caption fee, but
No, I'm opposed to the whole thing. That's just my opinion.
I know we've had lots of these discussions. They did. I don't know if the town meeting was live.
It was taped, but not live at night.
Taped, and I think it didn't get put up until the next day.
That's
right?
correct.
Correct.
All right, because that was one of our requests is that it be streamed live.
Right.
It was put up actually after the elections had started, or the polls had opened.
Yeah, and that's what we were trying to avoid.
Right.
And,
I mean, we do have the policy. We've been putting all of our videos on YouTube. They're accessible from our webpage, plus we live stream to Facebook.
Will that,
Some people do still use cat TV.
Oh, and I don't even see where, there's nothing in here about our town meeting. Isn't that in our last contract?
It wasn't our last contract.
We asked them to add it last time. Yep, meeting coverage will be, yeah.
They didn't add it this time.
but do we want a Facebook Live on town meeting? Then we'll know.
Well,
We'll be live.
but I'm, if we're gonna sign a contract with Cat TV, because not everybody can get into a Facebook Live,
Correct,
okay?
correct.
If we're gonna sign a contract with Cat
We'll
TV,
put in for that,
I want that contract for Cat TV to say,
that they'll tape it at least.
I want that contract to say, because they promised us last year and they didn't do it. If I'm not mistaken, where that was gonna be live,
Right, they should give it to us for free.
and if it's not put in live, you know what? It's time when somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, that they pay us back,
Exactly.
okay? So if we want it in our contract that they're gonna do it live and they don't do it live, then they pay us back $50 an hour for the town meeting.
I have no problems in the world with
It's
that.
time. You know what? Do what you gotta do, but
A contract is a contract.
contract is a contract, and if we don't live up to our contract,
Oh, they take us right through the ringer.
that's right. So I'm sorry, I have a problem with them not with, I
We just,
don't like empty promises, and that's what we get from Cat TV
All the time,
all the time.
all the time.
And
I think we can do it ourselves.
we're spending money on this, and I still,
what did we spend last year roughly?
Well, last year they let us pay annually. It was the $2,400 for the annual.
Okay,
This time they don't want to do that. They want to bill us quarterly because they're going to base it on the actual meeting time. Whereas last year they just assumed that our meetings won't go over 2 hours each, and they did 24 meetings at 2 hours each, $50 per hour. Was the math on that. Now it's 50 per hour, but it's the actual meeting length.
so our meeting lengths,
So if our meeting went 3 hours, that's $150.
but if it went an hour, it's only $50.
you guys are testing me to keep stuff under an hour. But I can do that. One of the single biggest things is to have our town meeting broadcast. And last year having it broadcast after polls had opened is totally unfair to people who can't be at town meeting, couldn't be at town meeting,
Mhm.
couldn't watch it Facebook Live, didn't have other means other than Cat TV. And if it's only 5 people, well, then it's 5 people,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
I'm sorry. And I want that in this contract, and I want, if they don't produce it, if they don't produce our town meeting before the polls open, and I think it would be fine if it says before the polls open on the next day.
Terry, the way I read this is annual 2,400. And then quarterly, they will bill you for any difference.
No, that's the old contract.
Okay.
That's the old one.
Oh, yeah.
They never, yeah, because they never
So
billed us
this-
anything.
Okay, so you just want to do the quarterly.
So, yeah, the new one is billed quarterly.
Okay,
The old one was
okay.
the Annual payment. So,
That's what I'd like to see the contract.
so we want to reach back out to Cat TV. We want them to put town meeting live
Mhm. Or broadcast before polls open.
on, or,
I'd rather see live because they could broadcast it at 2 in the morning.
yeah.
I agree, Carl, but.
Okay.
I agree.
Because last year, weren't we told that they were purchasing special equipment to make it happen?
And they had equipment there. It was all set up.
Increased our contract slightly to cover.
Mhm.
It was more expensive because of that.
I mean,
equipment.
empty promises.
So we want town meeting coverage on it live, and then,
Says it is gonna be live on there,
oh, and the write-up,
including live coverage of the town meeting there, but it also said it on last year's site,
right?
so. That would be,
There may be some sort of, we gotta think of, like, I know what Mike wants to do, put some sort of clause in there where if they don't fulfill their obligation,
Of live coverage.
there's some sort of pain that they have to suffer. Am I correct on that, Mike?
Yeah, financially.
So I will ask them to add it, but I'll reach out to you.
Actually, there's a change. These are skipped it over. It's in the first sentence.
It is still on?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
They didn't want to highlight it.
yeah. Yeah, the only thing they want to do is build quarterly.
Notice that there is.
Yeah, the only one that has the highlighted part, build quarterly.
All right, so I won't ask them to add it, but I will ask Bob Fisher on language for a clause.
Mhm.
And then ask them to add that to the contract before we sign it.
Yeah, if my single biggest thing is the town meeting. If they don't, and all of the meetings are important. I'm not trying to, I'm
But the
not trying to
town meeting is,
downplay any
right, but the
meeting.
town meeting is where the public can turn around and have an idea of what they're gonna vote for the next
It
day.
can make a difference, right? You can make or break certain things.
Definitely.
And that's what it's for. And I want something in there and I don't know, what do we want to do? We want a financial,
I'll get that. How about I get that from Bob and then,
yeah,
um,
from Bob Fisher probably.
and I'll add it to the contract and send it back and say, this is what we're proposing
That's right.
That sounds fair.
and stuff. And then we'll bring it back to the next. regular
Okay.
meeting.
I'm still opposed to it. That's okay.
The plan.
I just think people need help. You know, we're held accountable here. Everything we do, it's time other people are held accountable too. Perfect.
Okay.
Bennington County Sheriff's Department contract discussion. We're done with Cat TV right now. Nobody else has more questions?
No, we're good, we're good.
I thought so, just. Getting into the sheriff's contract, everybody's had a chance to read the proposal.
Mhm.
So we have at the current rate, the proposed rate by the sheriff, we have if it were we have 25 hours per week budgeted. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make some notes here, so I have it in my, right in front of me here. We have 25 hours per week budgeted for fiscal year 24-25
At the rate, at their rate.
at their rate, at their rate
Which
that
is
they have,
72 per hour.
72.50, right?
Yep.
So I figured it out. So it's for, you said 25 hours,
Mhm.
$94,250.
That's what we have budgeted.
Right.
Yep. So, I've had some discussions with Sheriff Gully in the last 10 days about certain things and, so I'm a little confused about certain things and we talked, because I was a little confused about certain things, right? So my assumption is that the 25 hours per week or the 30 hours that we have right now under our current contract. Okay? My assumption is that our 30 hours is for, and then this is, he corrected me here a little bit, but my assumption is it's for 30 hours of patrol where the cruiser is driving around town roads and doing speed control, a four-wheeler complaint, things along those lines. He, in our conversation, the 30 hours a week is also like when the state's attorney has them. Now, that's the way he explained it to me, unless I misunderstood it. I don't think I did. That's also quote unquote patrol hours, which I don't understand that.
So I think that they're
My-
saying that
Hold on, Angie, go ahead.
30 hours, no matter what, they're just gonna charge us that, no matter how it's spent. Is that how you're taking it?
Correct. Don't look at it as patrol hours. Look at it as their man hours, period. And that's what they're billing you on, not to patrol, whatever they have to bill for the man.
Can I say the way that I look at it?
Sure.
They are scheduling right now 30-hour patrol a week. If other calls come in on top of those 30 hours, we are being charged on top of that. That's why we're so far over budget now.
Then that's not,
Now, I had asked them to
Contract, correct?
separate numbers, but now it's
that's what I'm,
all considered patrol is what they're saying.
no
So
matter what they do, is considered patrol.
Correct, but. with
For us
that
to
said,
figure, right.
If we say patrol, we can only afford 25 or whatever you guys decide. There are times we may go over that 25 because there's things they have to respond to that they didn't plan for. That was my assumption from, based on the conversation we had with them before.
But but the problem there is it opens it up. Okay, well, they can't account for that. But then why are we doing this? Why don't we just hand them a check and say, here, pay yourself what you think you owe yourself? Because basically that's what we're doing right now.
I have a real hard time with being over $100,000.
For the fiscal year, yes, we are over $100,000.
We're well over $100,000. And if I look at the sheet that you gave us of the breakdown,
Mhm.
This was only until April, so we've had a couple months since then.
Yep,
When they say total contacts, what does that mean? Total contacts with residents, total contacts with,
so when they do those numbers, they basically count any contact. So if they go to the school and they talk, do a little class thing, they count all the number of students they talk to. But if they pull people over, they count them, anybody they talk to is a contact.
Contacted
so
out.
that was 605 contacts so far. Number of tickets given, 77. Number of warnings, 86. Complaints answered, 218. And if you go by, say 218, and you go by the 72.50 an hour, that's $15,805 just right there alone.
And those are.
If it were based on 1 hour.
Answering
Right,
complaints.
I based it on 1 hour. And sometimes they go over, we know that.
Correct.
Is answering a complaint in your mind patrol?
No,
Right, I think of them as two.
but it's the complaint, somebody calling on the phone and they're
Yes.
talking to them or answering an email.
It's, a complaint is anything like that, including like a theft at a store or identity theft or anything that happens in Pownal that people call the sheriff and ask them to come out for. We're being charged for,
So, and
because that's
I
responding.
will say that certain times, there's been certain times in the past year that, either Lieutenant Harrington, Deputy Legacy or Sheriff Gully have called me about certain things that have been going on in a certain situation where, and made me aware that they were in a situation that could be more hours for sure than their 30 hours a week. Now, it has happened a few times. I'm not, so I want to be so transparent with this.
But
Okay.
it's not like it's a hidden thing.
Right, but I want to be really transparent. I also want to say that our two officers who have been in Pownal for this contract here, Lieutenant Harrington and Deputy Legacy are our two 90% of the time. I want to say that I think, I definitely want to go on record and say that I think they've done a tremendous job of trying to form a relationship with the residents in town.
And that's what we want.
And that's what we want. That's right. So those two officers have probably gone above and beyond trying to form a relationship in town. And like I said, I have had calls from all three about certain things that, whatever the situation is. So I just want to get that out there too.
Okay.
I don't want that. Because I want this whole thing, this whole discussion, I want 100% transparent. I don't want us just to focus on, just the negative.
No, they do it. I agree with you, Mike. They do an excellent job.
Right.
However, we can't afford another $25,000 in the red again this year, because this is what we're gonna end up with this year, is $25,000. And we can't afford another $25,000 in the red.
Oh, I'm on board with that, Carl. I just want to have everything out there
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah.
And that's why that's one reason that this is not in an executive session tonight. That's one reason it's right here in this forum.
Yeah.
That's the biggest reason is because our residents and taxpayers of the town need to know what we're up against with their tax dollars and why we're going to, whatever decision we come up with on the sheriff's department, I want everyone to know exactly why we came up with that decision, okay? That's why we're here.
Yep.
Right? But I don't want it to be a witch hunt
No,
at all. And that's, so I'm gonna hold us to that it's not a witch hunt. It's strictly financially driven. And that's exactly what I've explained to them. It's 100% financial.
because when people realize how much their school taxes are going to go up next year, heads will roll.
Well, there's potential, right, for all that. We don't know what's going on with that, and I don't wanna.
No, I understand that,
But the state's got a 15% increase.
That's beyond our control.
That is beyond our control.
Let's control what we can, and that's what's right here in front of us. And that's what I'm gonna focus on. I'm not gonna focus on
But what I'm saying is,
wasted money by the state, because
I agree with you, Mike.
we don't have enough time for that.
I agree with that, but
None of us.
we have to have that sensitivity.
No, we
to-
don't. That's right. That's right. We have to control what we can control, and this is what we can control.
Yep.
One thing, so.
And I understand that we have to control that. At the same time, it's our job to help do our due diligence, keep our.
And the sheriff has to help us.
So. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate, Jamie. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. What are we keeping them safe from?
Giving them
What are we keeping them safe from at 30 hours a week?
30 hours a week.
Yeah, what are we keeping them safe from at 30 hours a week?
Their presence is in general areas. I've heard people are slowing down. So school zone accidents. In the beginning, you were brought up about the buses, people passing the buses. I don't know how often that's still happening.
Every day,
I mean.
every day.
No, I mean.
Nobody sits where I tell them, and I don't care if it's the state police, I don't care if it was the previous sheriff or the one we have now. Nobody sits where I tell them. I know that Lieutenant Harrington has tried a few times. They don't sit where I tell them when I tell them to sit there. You can write tickets in Winchester's all day long. You could line up cruisers, however many Sheriff Gully has, up the road, up Bee Hill Road. And when the buses pulled over at 6:30 in the morning with the flashing red lights on, they could go right out through and they could pull over however many cars most every day. And they could do it again at 2:10 or 2:30 when the bus is dropping off. And then they can go back at 3 and they could do it again. And I'm not trying to downplay the sheriff. There's certain, they can't be there every day. I get it, okay? I totally understand that. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate and say, what exactly are we keeping our residents safe from? We patrol the school zone, right?
Yeah. Control school zone
And that school zone is active. That school zone is active for
Here.
2 hours a day, 180 days a year. Well, more than that for summer school.
Mhm.
It's active 7:30 to 8:30. It's active 2:45 to 3:45. That's when the school zone is the most active. Other than that, it's a straight road through center of town. I know we have senior citizens in the park, but we also have 346 that is definitely a congested area down through North Pownal and through Pownal Village.
Mhm.
There's and I'm just playing devil's advocate here on both sides. I'm gonna play both sides of this. I'm gonna play the sheriff's side, I'm gonna play our side. So that I just want the residents of town to know that we're trying, the five of us sitting here are trying really hard to do what we can do and get the best bang for our buck, right? And I just, so I'm gonna be tough and I don't mean anything by it. I'm not trying to pick the sheriff's department apart, because like I just said, those guys have worked really hard.
So
And
my question to you then is, if we didn't have the sheriff's department here in our town, what would our town be?
Our town would be the same as it always is.
I don't think so.
I do.
I think there's a lot of shit that would move into our town. Lot more riffraff. If you lost that presence, you'd have a lot more riffraff than you do now in the town.
think so?
I think so.
I don't. I'm sorry. Disagree with you, but that's okay.
Well, that's why we're saying.
And that's why we're all individuals.
I don't think that the riffraff is not coming into town
Because the sheriff.
because the sheriff sits at the old Jaeger House parking
That's
lot
right.
and stops cars going through.
I'm not
Okay.
saying just there, I'm just saying in general. I'm saying if you did not have any police presence at all.
feel like the emergency response
Right.
thing is a really hard thing to address down here, and that's what people are struggling with,
Yes.
is they want emergency response.
Yeah.
I mean, think about our rescue squad, when I asked them if they've had to go into dangerous situations by themselves. Yes, they have, and it happens all the time. That's a rescue squad calling for help and waiting for law enforcement. Not able to treat a patient because they don't have the backup.
I look at it as, we look at it like an emergency service that they provide, but we're looking at realistically with this contract, it is the ability to arrest someone. So we could take $100,000 and put that towards the fire department, pay a full-time fire department to go out and do, some emergency stuff, or we could give $100,000 to our rescue squad. So you could take the $100,000 of this emergency service and put it somewhere else to provide a different kind of service. But they're really looking, the sheriffs, it's an arresting ability. It's, they're not out necessarily saving anyone's, I'm not gonna say save somebody's life, but they're not a rescue squad or, so we have other places that we could really use $100,000. That is, and I'm not saying we can't use their services, but it's, there's other places that,
Every service has its need. That's the thing that you can't forget. There's.
We're talking as if we're not going to give them anything or all their heart's desire. My big thing is we have allocated $94,600, I believe,
It's 94 and change.
94 and change.
Yeah.
We cannot, as a town, afford to go over that in the next coming year. And when the sheriff was here last time, I did not get the feeling from him that he really cared too much about blowing our budget. Sorry. And that's where I'm at. I don't have a problem. We've allocated them that 90. If he could stay within that budget, I'm all for signing a contract. So long as we know that he stays within his budget, because in actuality, he's just another department head in the grand scheme of the town of Pownal. We would not tolerate if the landfill went $20,000 over budget and he told us, well, his budget's not his problem. Just saying, that's all.
And I also wanted to bring up in the contract there, just because of the animal control and all that stuff. I wanted to ask Mike, with the animal problem that we had previous in the past, if the department asked you to go along with that, with the animal. It's section 4, paragraph 4, section D, where it says the department shall refer all requests for policing services outside the scope of the services under the agreement of the Vermont State Police or the appropriate agency, except in a case where an immediate threat to life, safety, welfare, property, or animal welfare exists. Referral to supportive agencies will also occur when the department or the town believes that the incident will result in a significant financial burden to the town. And I was wondering if that was ever brought up with that other situation that we had. Because that was a financial burden to the town.
I think that was one of the times they gave them a heads up.
They did give me a heads up on that, and it was basically that, the state's attorney was involved and which kind of throws it out of our hands. Unfortunately. Okay, the state's attorney sent him in, she can pay for it, but that's not.
Now, that's not the
That's
case.
not how it happens or how it works.
That's right. So they did give me a heads up on that.
Okay,
And I knew there was gonna be, now I didn't know, and I don't think they could have given me the extent. In all fairness to them, I don't think they could have given me what they were gonna end up, giving me how much they were gonna end up having to do. But they did give me a sort of a heads up that was gonna happen. There was something. So let me put something into perspective, right? Under our current contract, we have 30 hours a week. Right? We have 15% of 15% of that service will occur during late afternoons, evening shifts and weekends. Right?
Yep.
And that's what we're paying for.
right.
Has anybody sat down, and until just now I haven't, has anybody sat down and figured out what that 15% is
It's
a
like,
month?
it's like 2 hours, isn't it? 2.5.
So
Especially if there's two officers.
let me put this in perspective, right? So 24 hours in a day, 30 days in a month. 720 hours per month. Which gives us 18 hours per month. Okay, right? 15% of 72 or 720 is 18. Gives us 18 hours a month outside of our and I don't want to say 9 to 5 because I don't know what their 8 hour, but their regular work day is, their shift, their day shift. That's 2.5%. 2.5% of the month. 2.5% of the hours in a month outside of a day shift. That's at 15%, 18 hours a month. It's simple math.
Right.
I didn't have to go to a long way in school for this one. It's 18 hours a month. It's 2.5% of that month outside of a day shift when they, and they're following the contract, okay? I want to be clear on that. That's the contract that we signed. Okay, that's the contract that we negotiated with Sheriff Gully, and so he is not, this is.
He's not violating the contract.
There's nothing on him, no way, shape or form, and I think they probably give us a little above that. I don't think they hold right at the 15%, because I have seen them. I think they're above. But they're not a significant amount above. It's 2.5% of the hours in a month that they're down here outside of a day shift. So let's go back to the safety part, Jamie. I'm pretty sure that a lot of stuff doesn't happen between 7 and 3:30 or whatever. Just saying. Right? I'm just saying. And there again, I'm playing devil's advocate, and that's all I'm doing because I feel that I owe that. And it doesn't mean which way I'm leaning here, okay? Not any way, shape or form. It's just, I'm playing the devil's advocate for our residents and our taxpayers so that they know that I'm sitting here and we're sitting here doing the best we can for them.
What if we said they were only to patrol 30 hours, no phone calls? State police take all the emergency calls, right? Isn't that how it's supposed to be anyway? And I understand.
Yeah, they're not a 911 service.
I understand that the state police are understaffed. That's not our problem. Our problem is we're scheduled for 30 hours of patrol. And then they do that, and then they add on the extra phone calls that they might get from the state police. You gotta get rid of that, because we can't, unless the state police want to subsidize the sheriff's office, because we're funding the state police 100%, and maybe they're not staffed at 100%, but there's a difference there. They're getting staffed at 100 and maybe they're at 50. So there's a big chunk of change that's not getting put up. It's not our problem that the state police are understaffed and that sheriff's picking up that work. Now, maybe we just have to say that he can't take those calls during those hours or something like, I'm not gonna say what the fix is, but to me, it should be 30 hours patrol, or we say, cut it down to 20 patrol. And if they happen to be at, $90,000 in June next year, then they say, hey, yeah.
Yeah, but even at 30 hours, that's $113,100.
You gotta be like 20.
At 25 hours, that's 94,250.
That's where we're budgeted.
That's a savings of 18,850 from right now. And if we even dropped it down to 20 hours, that's 75,400.
Yeah.
Maybe we say 25 hours, but 20 hours patrol, and that gives them 5 hours for other things. I don't know, but I would really like to keep it under 100,000.
That's why I say, and we can talk. I would like to hear from Sheriff Going.
Well, we already did.
I understand that, but as I said, I did not get the warm and fuzzies when we were talking budget. And that's my big concern, because we can say anything about, we only want 25 hours. But what's gonna happen when he blows his budget and he's patrolling 35 hours?
I know it's not specifically in the contract maybe, but I really feel like it should be, I did 5 hours patrol on Tuesday. Wednesday, I got a phone call and I did 2 hours of on call. So it's like me, when I work for building and grounds, I write building and grounds. When I work for highway, I write highway. When these sheriffs are going out and doing patrol and patrol only, they should write it and bill us that way. And then when they bill us for a phone call that they took down at who knows where, that should be separated, 2.5 hour phone call taken Saturday.
It is separated on their.
But he's saying it's not separate.
But then when I asked him, you're correct, he said.
So, but I'm thinking, to me, my mindset is so it's like, he has an hourly patrol rate and it's like a cost center, like that, it's always gonna come out of that. But it should be specific. We want to know when people are calling you, like versus.
Calling the state police or.
And then we could also kind of keep track of it is like, because.
How many hours
Saying they're
should be
stealing
patrolling on the road?
versus, I'm not saying they're stealing hours, but I'm just saying it would be nice to know, how many hours patrolling versus this week. Maybe there's certain weeks that are high, weeks that
Right.
Christmas time, maybe it's tough. I don't,
So I agree with you.
You would be more concerned about it for record keeping versus having a separate amount, am I correct?
Well, I think it would be nice
It would be nice to be.
to know, look, next year it'd be a lot easier to plan, say, well, they average X amount of patrol, X amount of, and next year you could say, well, you know what, we did so many, every month we had 10 hours of just random phone calls and then 20 hours or, so it just figuring it out where it's gonna be for next year. It obviously doesn't all this year and budget reasons.
I think he's looking at it from a totally different perspective than we are.
But let's not figure out where he's looking at it from.
I think.
I know where Billy's coming
Figure out
from.
where we need to do.
That's exactly, Lindsay. We need to figure out what we have, right?
Yeah.
right now,
You know,
at $72.50 per hour, we have 25 hours per week budgeted.
And it's gonna, and we know he'll go over that if we give him the 25.
So where do we go from there? Do we say, this is what we have 25 hours per week? And if you run into a case where a dog case, because that's pretty fresh in everybody's mind, right?
Right,
And you spent, the week of, June, whatever this week is, I don't even know what the 24th, week of June 24th. You spent, 7 hours on a dog case and, you spent 18 hours out on the road. Right? So you used your 25, or you spent 25 on the road and then another 7 on the
and
dog case,
Yep.
right? So therefore, you only have 18 hours of road time next week,
mhm.
because that's all we can afford. And I'm just throwing this out there, right? That's not, what- I'm just saying.
But
This
that's
is,
a real situation.
this is something, this is something that reality, right?
Especially.
That's right,
Right.
that's right. We have, and we can certainly do this. We have 25 hours per week budgeted for the Bennington County Sheriff's Department
and that's it,
fiscal year 24-25.
whichever way they want.
That's what we have. And we don't have any more.
Right. And if 1 week they want to do 10 hours and the next week 30 hours, as long as it equals 50 hours for 2 weeks,
100.
I'm okay with that.
100 hours a
100
month.
hours a month, no matter which way they break it up. I'm okay with that.
That's what we have budgeted, and we can beat around the bush and we can talk this a million ways to Sunday.
So do we add a stipulation not to exceed the total 94?
We had.
Without board approval?
The thing that we can do, the
If
thing that
something
we can do
exploded
here
and-
is we can certainly say, instead of going so many hours per week,
What about a monthly average?
we have 100 hours per month.
We have 100 hours a month and that's it.
And you can use it however you want,
Mhm.
but it's the 100 hours a month, however you want to distribute it.
So if the board, all of you want that, do you want me to ask him via email if he's willing to negotiate a contract in that regard, or do you want him to come in and meet with you guys?
No, I
Email.
You should be able to email that.
We'll email back and forth and he should be able to
And
say,
it's in writing. And I-
accept the 25 hours a week for 100 hours a month or not.
Cause it's almost, it's almost,
I guess it's,
It is, it's exactly.
it's coming back and checking quarterly, you know,
Yeah,
at least once a month.
And I can make sure when the invoices are coming in, I'm checking to make sure they're under the $100 and all.
I'm not sure that's gonna give us a whole bunch of, I'm not sure that's gonna give us a whole bunch of strength in negotiating about late afternoons and weekends and stuff at 100 hours per month, but whatever, that's.
if we want that, we have to increase our budget, but now we
I
gotta,
think we go 100 hours a month and let them do their.
and we still don't know if he will accept it or not,
Correct.
but that's,
either accept.
but that's
it
in
or
his
don't.
court, not ours.
That's right, accept it or don't. We're done.
We don't have a choice, and it has nothing to do with, there's no reflection on the sheriff's department
It's the
and
money.
their job. It's just financially driven. And that's all there is to it. And I just wanted to play devil's advocate back and forth because
No.
I want to be that taxpayer saying, hey, wait a minute, this is what's going on. I want to be that guy.
Now,
And
I got a question. Is Tara gonna be the point on the contract, or are you gonna be the point on the
Right,
contract?
because
Because
I wanted to go through Tara with me CC'd on.
no problem, but if
so if he
you,
calls you.
you have to turn around and tell him to call her.
Tara,
And you put that in the email.
I will.
Yeah, and CC me on that email.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
You put that in your email. That's on record right now.
Mhm.
And that you're the point of contact and I will be CC'd on all of it straight back and forth.
Okay.
Okay?
Do you need any kind of
Motion?
motion?
I don't think
100
so,
hours or no?
because we still haven't, not that the make a motion on yet.
Finalize.
Okay, just making sure.
I think that's.
I think we're all in agreement with that, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
let's just see what comes back.
And then we can go from there. And I absolutely, Tara and I talked about this. I absolutely 100% wanted this out in the open tonight so that
Everybody knows.
everybody knows what we're up against and why.
Yep.
And other than that, it had nothing to do with it, so. Perfect. That took less time than I thought. Everybody's good on that?
Yep,
Perfect. And you're good on Tara being in contact with me,
Yep.
being CC?
Yep.
yes.
Wonderful.
That's what.
Town Forest General Vision.
So I just wanted you all to kind of discuss what your vision is for the town forest land now that we successfully closed on the right of way today.
Yay.
Yes.
That's a-
deal.
That's a huge.
So that's right, the Town Forest General Vision. So now that as of 3:45-ish today, the town of Pownal now has a warranty deed filed in this office. It says we have access to 1,000 acres of town forest land in North Pownal.
Mhm.
We own the townspeople, the residents. We own the access to that land that's been 20 years, give or take, or whatever it's been coming. We own it. We now can go there. And
People worked on it.
I,
Different people worked on it.
and I want to say that,
Long time coming.
it's been a long time coming. I also want to say that without the people that worked on it, as hard as they did, we wouldn't be here. A lot of people, Bob Fisher had a lot of time, Tara had a lot of time. I know Parks and Rec had a lot of time involved in this with getting the VORAC grant, having VLCT, VHCB, VLT, right, VHCB, VORAC, former board members that worked on this with us since we started this project. Current board members, Hannah. I already said Tara,
Dragon.
Sean O'Donovan, the landowner. Ellen worked really hard on this financially. We went to Ellen a bunch, back and forth. And in support of the residents of the town. That's another big thing.
So as part of the grant process, we'll be doing a lot of looking for public input on what they want to see on the land as far as recreation, non-motorized recreation. So before we reach out to the public and see what they want, I just kind of wanted a general sense of what the board is looking for in the future up there as far as.
I would just love to see it used by all the townspeople for walking and hiking and biking and horseback riding and whatever.
So I think this right here,
For the children to go up to have an outside classroom and
Education.
education, yeah.
one thing that I'd like to see on this. And I think we can do it without a lot of trouble, is I'd like to see a forest management plan, timber management plan. I don't want to call it forest, let's call it timber management
Yep.
plan put in place where we selectively harvest that forest on a 2-year plan or a 3-year plan or a yearly plan or however it is. However, and we work with the county forest. And that money that comes from selectively harvesting through a forester gets put back into the general fund so that we can try to help offset some taxes.
Or at least pay for whatever we do up there. And that becomes.
There's no reason owning 1,000 acres. If you sustainably forest and timber management, that 1,000 acres, there's no reason that we couldn't offset taxes
A little bit.
every year or every 2 years.
No.
Okay? I've had some extensive conversations on this with several people that I trust and thoroughly believe in what.
And if you're doing that, you can also turn around and take advantage of the carbon credits on that and probably end up with another stream of revenue out of that.
Whatever. I just think that now that the town owns it, that's kind of one of the goals that I have amongst everything else that we've already said, the education, the hiking trails. I'd love to see some, you and I have talked about this. I'd love to see some platforms up there for some people to go up and take their family up in tent or camp out for a weekend, right? There's so many possibilities up there. The possibilities are endless.
But
And
once,
it's just gonna take that initiative, and we already have it, I believe. We already have that from Parks and Rec and from the Conservation Commission and some outside agencies with Williams College and some other entities that are interested in
Yeah.
helping us develop that. And I think we jump in and take full, just jump right in and not let them go with it, but take their ideas and pick and choose and use the ideas out there. And we seek funding to do the stuff and that kind of stuff. And once we start doing that it's just gonna be a snowball effect, in my opinion. in a
The next
positive
year
way.
is lots of planning.
Yes.
Or the first step in planning is.
That's right.
Where you guys want.
The first year is gonna be a while.
It is, yeah.
That's gonna look like we didn't do a single thing for a year.
Questioning and.
Yep, for the first year, so it's gonna be like, you guys aren't doing anything with that. Yeah, we really are.
And in our kickoff meeting for the Vorak project, yeah, it was decided that we should see what you all wanted
I've
first.
heard the ball's running on this, but I think connecting, the crest trail,
Yes.
that would be a nice thing. I think the ball's already started to move there, but
And some of the stuff is required by the grant.
Right.
To get it done, and then other stuff is optional, like the or the timber management plan. That's an optional thing.
well, see, that's a smart thing because that gives you your fire access in case of a wildland fire, plus it accesses for your trail usage. There's so much, and on Mike's point, as far as getting some revenue, it's gonna take a couple of years, or I mean, it could make a couple, maybe 15, 20. But to make that a sustainable forest that we can get prime timber from. And by doing it smart, you're gonna make a healthier, it's gonna be healthier for hunting, for all the way around.
Just wildlife, everything
Yes.
involved, just everything involved, for the environment,
Yes.
for the environment on that 1,000 acres, it's gonna make everything that much healthier.
Mhm.
And you have to do it right. You don't wanna go in and clear cut 1,000 acres. I mean, first off, you got a watershed, so.
Because you're gonna be under a plan, so that's gonna be a moot point.
Plan, and
Right.
there's
That's right.
also protection zones and some other. stuff to
Exactly.
Consider, but.
I'm also a firm believer though, we don't necessarily have to manage it for it to be healthy. Because humans tend to mess things up more than they fix things. So, I mean, it's been around a long time before us, so.
It
You got a
depends.
valid point.
I guess, I'm not gonna say they will mess it up, but
Valid point, for sure.
sometimes.
No, that's.
Sometimes you certainly can get really totally bombed. That's a really valid point.
Tara, is there a way to put on our website, like, suggestions from the public, the townspeople, what they would like to see?
Yeah, and I think the general plan is to have Williams College students from Sarah Gardner's class work on public outreach.
Okay.
Aspect of it, to get public opinion, but to also maybe do some educational flyers or other public outreach to really reach out to the community and see what they're gonna wanna
Okay,
have
cool.
there. So I think I'll hold off a little bit, but once we get that ball rolling in September, it'll all be online.
That
Right
was,
now, we have the town green survey stuff going on, so I don't wanna
Mix it up.
mix it
Gotcha.
up.
Quick question on the town green. Have the flyers been sent out for the?
well, let's not,
It's a totally different.
totally, yeah.
Okay, I'll ask that after.
Yep. That's not on our agenda, so.
Yeah, I was just saying.
I can ask that,
Next.
I can ask that at the end as a private citizen.
You can, but private citizens, it's just not a question and answer. You have to send it in as an email.
Don't worry, I'll get the question, I'll get it answered.
I'm not gonna just because you said that, I'm not gonna answer your question.
Things haven't changed much, have they?
Sorry, Carl. I couldn't resist. Anything else on the town forest? Everybody good with that? And once again, I am incredibly happy and incredibly proud to say that we now own access to our 1,000 acres. We can legally get there and our residents.
Walk up there tomorrow and take a walk.
You can walk up there tomorrow. I would definitely suggest take free, but you
Trees.
sure can.
The park.
I wouldn't even make it halfway.
Discussion next.
Parking lot, road arm, yeah, so.
Yeah, we have, you know, good with everything, so.
Lead your way through the trees. You feel.
All right. Board appraisal, parking lot, road building. We're done with that one, right?
Yeah.
So, let's see. So for the appraisal, I sent you all, from Rocket Appraisal Company. They are the appraisers that work with VLT to do the Boyce property before we purchased it with the grant money. And we need to have the right of way that we just bought appraised to get reimbursed by the grant. So I reached out to a few, I had some mediocre responses, but Rutkin has been really good communication wise. They reached out to the Vermont State to make sure that their report would meet the needs of the grant, which I thought was really, really nice and professional of them. It was a great, being proactive in that manner. So basically it takes 4 weeks from confirmation of the project and the appraisal is $10,000, but it will be reimbursed by Boric.
It's a no brainer.
I'll entertain a motion to have Rutkin do the appraisal on the right of way that was just purchased today.
So moved.
Second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
So the other piece of this is just a formality because as you're all aware, when we signed the purchase and sales agreement with Mr. O'Donovan to purchase the right of way, part of the agreement was that he would do the road building and the parking lot building. So putting it out to bid and all that is not necessary, but in order to meet our purchasing agreement requirements or purchasing policy requirements, I need you all to just sort of give your blessing on him doing the parking lot and road building project.
That wasn't included in the initial motion when we did that.
I don't remember, but we're gonna.
But at this point, I need it for a grant. I need it in the minutes.
Not reaffirmed.
Please.
Make a motion that we follow through per the agreement with O'Donovan as far as the road and the parking lot. Implementation.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. The discussion is, the parking lot is, the road has to be built from the gravel pit entrance now. So the parking lot has to be built to town specs.
Correct.
Okay, that's in our agreement.
Mhm.
The parking lot is an engineered design from Mance, right?
Yep.
From David Mance, that has to be built to those specs. Okay, so it's not just blast the road, build the parking lot.
Correct.
There's town specs for the rest of the road. There is a design from an engineer for the parking. Okay, just so everyone's aware of that. Right,
Does he have a specific time frame?
Work has to be completed by May 2025, and we entered into an escrow agreement where we held back 20,000 until the work is completed. So that we have sort of a twofold,
there's also, he also has to put us a road from the parking lot, which is not a town spec road.
it's just a logging.
Logging accessible road from the parking lot
Yeah.
up to where the road begins.
So to be able to get in.
Right,
That's right.
right, without going near the pit. It's kind of borders. the
Yeah,
pit.
it's part of the, it's on the property that we bought, so. But the other two were town spec,
Mhm.
Same as any town road we have.
The
And
continuation.
that's right. And the parking lot is an engineered design. So I have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Hey.
Animal control. Animal control officer, open position, discussion of future plan and possible action.
Our constable, Eddie Pascucci, has decided he will take on the animal control duties. I am very excited to announce that.
You're very happy.
I am.
Me too.
I am actually very happy about that.
Did you give him this and he read all that?
Yes, so he has that, but in addition to that, you remember when we were doing the policy review and Carl had sent the Reading animal policy, animal control officer policy? It was a Reading, Vermont. whatever.
Yep.
So I took that and I just basically changed it to Pownal. I put it on our policy header. So this will give him a little bit more of a guideline, you know, that he does not go looking for lost dogs, for example. He does not deal with wild animals. He does not deal with farm animals. So those are kind of like listed out on this and,
And so we know what his job is.
right. So,
So we don't ask him to do something that's not there.
and if you approve this, I can give this to him tomorrow too, when he comes in to do his onboarding stuff. If you appoint him tonight.
Do we accept that first or do we appoint him first?
Why don't you accept this first?
Yeah, I think we accept, everybody read the animal control policy.
I'll pass it down.
So, yeah,
I read it, yes,
You read it?
I did, when you sent it the first time.
the only thing I see is there's a typo on the second page where it says.
Only you would find it, Mike.
You fixed already, right? I think you fixed it
Oh,
already.
maybe,
It says Reading?
no,
No.
no, on the second page it says page 1 or 2, so it should say page 2 or 2. Hey, at least you know I'm reading it. All right, at least you know I'm reading it, come on. Come on, give me a little credit here. All right, I'm not just winging it.
I'm gonna reprint it.
I'm not telling you that.
He's getting.
I know, I looked really.
Right over it.
Yeah, just right over it.
Yeah,
Right over, it's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't change anything in the policy.
No.
Right,
Just,
that's what I mean, everything else looks really good.
if we're good, I'll make the motion that we accept that policy.
I'll second it. Did you make the motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second it.
And the only,
animal control policy.
Animal control policy.
the only thing I saw other than that was, but it's covered because where it says investigate dog bites and report them to the property at proper authority, they have to go to the health officer.
Health officer and health officer.
Yeah.
By having proper authority.
Yep.
And he or she does have to maintain the records and prepare records and all that stuff afterwards, so. I have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion after the factions? All those in favor? I'll entertain a motion to appoint Eddie Pascucci, our town constable, to the open position of animal control officer.
Second.
I'll make.
All right. I'm sorry. So moved. I thought you made.
Okay, Angie, you don't have to second it. Okay.
I'm sorry, it was up.
I'll make the motion.
I didn't sleep at all.
We have a second and the motion.
More discussion?
My one question, yes, I did have one question. Oh my God. Is it okay that he has two roles and you're gonna take from both?
Yes,
Okay. Yep. All right, just so the public knows that.
Perfectly. Happens in a lot of towns.
Actually, it'll work great.
It'll work.
I think it's a better option. I think it's.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
You
I
gotta sign that.
think that was one of the loudest eyes ever.
Way faster than I thought we would. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, me too.
I believe it's
You're welcome.
20 after 7.
You guys are welcome. I'm going through this.
Well, it might have been because.
Maybe the cat contract won't be so bad.
All right, public comment. We have any public comment, Hannah?
You can go ahead, Fred.
Hey, this is Fred Miller. Just wanted to say, good meeting. I enjoyed it, very informative. Good work done. The only comment I have is based on your discussion about the use of the sheriff's department. And I was appalled to hear of the problem by Winchester's with people not stopping for buses. And it got me thinking, on a separate track or related. There is an issue with a sign on Oak Hill School Road stating a school zone. And it could lead to some confusion because there is no longer a school, to my knowledge, on Oak Hill School Road. And it could just lead to a problem if somebody gets nailed for speeding, which they shouldn't be doing. But they would be required to pay a double fine. Because, and you know, and that's where the confusion comes in. I think the sheriffs would be within their rights because the sign is there. But it's not proper for the sign to be there still. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, good meeting and very informative, kept me up past my bedtime. And good to see you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Point well taken. We can mention that to Joel.
Yeah, I made a note.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment?
No other hands.
Can I speak? If there's nobody else. I just had the one question.
Okay.
Okay, because I can keep getting asked all the time by another. Has those, the questionnaires been sent out yet
What,
for the greens, for the Pownal Center?
so I don't think they were sent out. I'm gonna answer his question. Sorry, Mike. I don't think they were sent out. I think you have to follow the link on the website or you can grab one out front.
Okay, I just
There
was
are
wondering
hard
because
copies here.
okay, no big deal, because I had said before at one point that they were going to send them out, and the question I had was anytime, usually we have problems getting stuff sent to East Pownell because we have a 05201 mailing address and it's a Bennington mailing
Yeah.
address. So there's always, I'll take one with me, but there's
Okay.
always the problems with these, because Pownell's kind of quirky that way. I just want to make sure that people in East Pownell,
Get
if it's
through.
being sent out, that they have an opportunity to. What's that?
Grab a few and hand them out, please.
I don't see anybody. Anybody I see lives in Bennington, so.
Jamie, do you have something?
I just, I didn't know if you happen to look at Homeland Security grants, this, mutual aid can piggyback, municipalities can piggyback for life support, like the AED, any of those kind, and also to help pay for the CPR and all that training.
Oh, okay.
So, didn't know if you knew that or not.
No. Good to know. Thank you.
Any other public comment, Hannah?
No other hands are up.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, it's 7:30, I might have, Angie. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, my God.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a great evening.